where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They don't read any of the comments. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube and Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, then also let me know in the comments below. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited and proud to be part of. And I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. I'm watching a clip from First Things First, talking about the shocking Cowboys loss. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been telling you all that the Cowboys are not that good of a team and that Dak Prescott is not that good of a team. And yet Nick Wright wanted to keep saying Dak Prescott is the MVP and yada, yada, yada. And I kept pointing out that the Cowboys have not beat any good teams. I still have my crumbled up piece of paper with all the games that they played and all the wins that were against terrible teams, and that all their losses and tough games were against teams that were actually good. And it's just, I was proven correct. I got to do my victory lap. And what's going to annoy me about First Things First show, and I'm going to have to say this in all the clips that I do today for First Things First, is that someone like a Nick Wright, is saying that the Browns are going to win, that the Cowboys are going to win, that the Rams are going to win. And he was wrong about all of that. Okay? He was wrong, right? But then he'll say that then the Chiefs win, and he'll say, I told you, what did I tell you was going to happen? That the Chiefs are going to win and that they proved to be the scariest. And to me, that's nonsense, okay? You can't be wrong majority of the time and then go do a victory lap when you were right. Even though I still think that Nick is going to be wrong. But that'll be for another clip. But let's just stay focused on the Cowboys. This whole table was wrong. They were all wrong. They all had the Cowboys winning. They didn't give the Packers really any much of a chance. Brew has been the hardest on the Cowboys, understandably so. And so, he was definitely the closest to right, but he still ended up picking the Packers. And I don't blame him for picking the Packers, or he still picked the Cowboys to beat the Packers. And I don't blame him for that. I mean, I get it. I understand. But what Brew and I, for that matter, have been saying this whole season is that the Cowboys were never that good and they never beat a good team. So let's go see how they make excuses for this loss now.
Nick's Super Bowl pick crushed. Tomatoes.
Right, his Super Bowl pick.
To lose since the elimination of the second bye. Green Bay puts up 48 points. Dak throws 2 interceptions. Here he is after the game.
Yeah, we got beat. There's no other which way around it, no way to sugarcoat it. Obviously, I didn't play well, and shock. I'm not a guy that lives in the past, and so.
And look at that bottom line: 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. So this is why you can't just look at box scores, because yes, obviously he threw 2 interceptions, but now if you look at his playoff stats as a whole, when people want to try to defend and tell me how amazing Dak Prescott is, they'll say, look, he's averaging, 3 touchdowns a playoff game and 350 yards a playoff game. It's his defense that lets him down and stuff like that. And nobody watches that game and thinks that Dak Prescott played good. Not even Dak Prescott. He played awful. All of those yards and all of those touchdowns were garbage touchdowns, garbage yards. And the one touchdown shouldn't have even counted because it was, they clearly showed that it was, a false start by the Packers at the end of the first half. But let's even give that touchdown. It doesn't even matter. The Packers were blowing them out and they were already just like giving them yards in prevent defense. So again, that's how Dak Prescott has made all his money, is by feasting off of bad teams and then also just getting these garbage yards and garbage touchdowns that don't matter at the end of the games, or when the defense is already putting in their second and third string players, or just, really not giving up any, big play style defense packages. And, and then when you look at the numbers, you say, look how good he is. And it's like, now let's look at his record against teams with a winning record. Let's see how good he is. and he doesn't have a winning record, and his playoff record is abysmal, and people were all coming at me saying it's not Dak's fault, that it's all the defense. Well, look what happened here. I mean, I was taking a beating in the comment section about the Cowboys. You guys were all coming at me trying to tell me how good Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott is. And I told you. I kept telling you. I tried to tell you. You guys just didn't want to listen.
Where my feet are, and at this moment, yeah, I mean, I sucked tonight. No, that was it.
Okay. Professor Broussard, what grade are you giving the Cowboys?
Well, the grade is obvious. F! Okay. Where's the F?
Okay,
But you know what? As I thought about this, and we tried to get the biggest F we could get.
Okay.
That's amazing. That's hilarious.
My goodness.
This is bigger.
It is.
Yeah,
It is. As I thought about this,
my notes are under
I
here,
sat
so.
there and I said, you know what? This isn't good enough, or in this case, bad enough.
Bad enough.
Yeah.
This does not fully encapsulate how horrific that was yesterday, Nick Wright.
Yeah.
All right, so I had to create my own grade.
Wow.
I had to create something worse
Wait, we have
than an F.
A
what's
Z.
An F minus.
that?
All right, this is an F minus by the Cowboys.
We got it. Yeah. We'll,
All right.
Wild, you help him out here. Go ahead.
Because
I got you. Go ahead. You worry
an
about
F,
your take.
an F is
Rehearse this.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You got it.
not
Keep cooking.
bad enough.
Keep cooking.
This is how we're doing it?
Yeah.
An F minus is not just getting beaten by a lesser team. An F minus is not just taking somebody lightly and losing the game. An F minus
That's not
is
what happened,
reserved
though.
for a whole nother class of failure.
Yeah.
It's not that they took them too lightly or that the Packers were such an inferior team and then that the Cowboys just didn't play good. The Cowboys were never that good. They were never that good. I am taking out my paper again. They beat up the Giants, who are terrible. They beat up the Jets, who are terrible. They beat up the Patriots, who are terrible. Then they got smoked by the 49ers, okay? Then they beat up the Chargers, who are not good. They beat up the Rams, who at that time were definitely not that good. The Rams kind of wrote the ship, but lost to Detroit, okay? Then they lost to the Eagles, who everyone says the Eagles are not that good. Then they beat up the Giants, who are terrible. They lost to the Cardinals. They beat the Panthers. And then they beat the Commanders, who are obviously trash. Then they beat the Eagles, who, again, we said they weren't that good. Then they lost to the Bills. They lost to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are not that good. And then they had a controversial win, a 1-point victory against the Lions. And then they beat up the Commanders. They were never that good. They had an easy schedule. And again, people wanted to call me out and say, what about the Eagles? The Eagles had an easy schedule last season. Exactly. They had an easy schedule, but the Eagles still beat the good teams. And then they still won in the playoffs, and then they still almost won a Super Bowl. The Cowboys did not take advantage of that easy schedule. And what happened? They didn't even win one playoff game. They didn't even win one playoff game, let alone make it to the NFC Championship game. And I don't remember the chart that Nick Wright had. Nick Wright originally posted and said, look at these three teams with this easy of a schedule in the Super Bowl era and what happened. And they showed the one team won the Super Bowl and then the other team lost in the Super Bowl. And then you had the Cowboys. And what happened to them? They never even led by a point in their first playoff game against the Packers. Just amazing. Just amazing.
And that is when you choke. All right.
That wasn't a choke job.
Cowboys yesterday.
It was not a choke job.
Prescott, of Mike McCarthy, of Deron Bland, of Micah Parsons, of CeeDee Lamb, choked.
That's not fair.
This wasn't just a loss. The moment was too big.
That's
No.
correct.
The pressure was too much. How?
They're just not good enough. A choke is that you are really good and that you just didn't play good enough. That's choking. I failed to do something that I have a very high success rate at being able to do. That's what choking is, right? I have a 1-foot putt that I just completely miss. I choked. That's not what happened here. The Cowboys were not good enough. The Packers were ready to play. The Packers are young, fresh, ready to go. better offensive coordinator, a better offensive head coach, a better quarterback. Yes, I'm saying it. Love is better than Dak Prescott. So no, this was not a choke job.
How else do you explain a defensive backfield that spent most of the season in the top 5, top 6-ish, letting guys run wide open like this? I mean, this is inexplicable. Look at that. There is not a Cowboy in the screen.
Brew, it's the most open any player has been in any game all year, literally. By next-gen stats, 17.2 yards between him and the closest defender.
And Dobbs as well.
Yeah.
It happened time and time again.
Look at these bombs he's throwing.
How else do you explain a team that had won 16 straight games at home?
Yeah.
And they outscored their opponents by 172 points this season in Texas.
Yeah. Because they play terrible teams.
And yet you are down
48-16
with a few minutes left to a team that was 9-8 and the youngest in nearly 50 years to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, great.
How else do you explain a quarterback who had an MVP caliber season, who threw only 9 interceptions in 17 games, throwing 2 picks, one of them a pick 6 in the first half? How else do you explain a defensive front that led the league in pressures the entire season?
Because they played bad teams.
Pressures and no sacks against a 25-year-old quarterback making his first playoff start.
Yeah, good job.
That's it.
That's what I thought.
And I could go on for the rest of the show, but I won't.
Okay.
We can't do that. All right, but yesterday what we saw was the greatest example of one of my greatest rants. The tomato can.
Yeah, well, it is.
All right?
Yeah.
And how ironic and fitting that a team that spent all season bashing and bruising and muscling up against tomato cans turned out to be the greatest tomato can
the Cowboys are a tomato can?
Yes. The Dallas Cowboys are a playoff tomato can.
Oh, that's the worst.
2016, we're the number 1 seed, doesn't matter.
No.
2021, we're the number 3 seed, doesn't matter.
Don't fall.
2023, we're the number 2 seed, does not matter because the Cowboys are playoff tomato cans. Period.
So
excellent job.
I mean, well done.
Several of your greatest hits in there.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. Wilds?
Yes.
If I may, just quickly for me.
Oh, really quick. Do you want to address that was Nick's Super Bowl?
No, I got it. I'll take care of that. I promise. That's exactly what I was about to do.
Yeah,
no, if I may,
I don't care if the Eagles get beat by 100.
Okay. Well,
I'm not here a thing.
If I may, classic Category 3 by me. Man. Irrevocably, unequivocally wrong.
He admitted he was wrong.
What makes it worse is it is Brew's, maybe his first ever Classic 1.
Classic.
Instantly correct. Everything Brew said all year. Let me give you your props. Everything Brew said all year was correct. Getting fat and happy on tomato cans. Check. Dak, even if he put up, Brew said before the season, even if Dak Prescott were to win league MVP, he would not necessarily believe he's an elite quarterback. Yeah. And I thought that was an insane statement. And then we saw a circumstance where Dak had, at the very least, an MVP caliber season, one that as recently as Friday of last week, I was arguing should have him in a coin flip for MVP with Lamar, maybe a weighted coin in Lamar's favor, but then proven exactly right by how he did in the playoffs. All the McCarthy stuff, too much talk, all of it was right. So now, if I may just quickly go through the football stuff that happened, I don't know who should be more embarrassed from when it comes to the Cowboys, but I'm going to start on the defense. Yeah, Micah and Dan Quinn and the defense as a whole. What the hell was that? I don't know, maybe Dan Quinn was distracted by the Seattle job coming open. I'm not being sarcastic about that. I know, and I know that he's got 4 interviews lined up we found out about today. So maybe that's human nature, but that's what they did yesterday and what they allowed Matt LaFleur.
See, this is what I got to stop again. this is just not fair because they're making it all about Dallas failing and them choking and things of that nature. The Packers straight up beat the Cowboys. No ifs, ands, or buts, no question. This wasn't about the Cowboys losing the game. This was about the Packers winning the game. This wasn't about the Packers being an inferior team and the Cowboys being a great team. This was about the Cowboys never being that good in the first place. I already read the list of teams that they played and how they won and who they lost to. The Cowboys do not have a single big win this entire season. Let me say this again. The Cowboys don't have a single big win this entire season. Okay? That's just the reality. They got fat on the tomato cans, as Nick, Ray, and Brew just said. That's what happened. I'm about to sneeze. Oh, it's not going to come now. It's going to be one of those weird in-betweens. I almost sneezed on the truth. But so, that's just the reality. So they were fool's gold. Fool's gold, fool's gold, fool's gold. Very similar to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins also never beat anyone good, and any tough games that they had, they lost. And then against the Cowboys, that was more about the Cowboys losing than Miami winning. Just like how when the Cowboys played Detroit, that was more, whether you want to blame the refs or not, fine. Let's not even blame the refs. That was more about Detroit losing than Dallas winning. That's the reality, okay? Reality. So it's just the way it's unfolded.
Floor to do to them was humiliating. And Micah getting just washed out of that football game was humiliating for a guy who talks like and usually plays like one of the best players at his position of his generation. Then there's Dak, who now, and this is a brutal spot, because this is where now his great regular season works against him. And it should. Mm-hmm. Because Dak is now a known regular season only quarterback. Can we show you the quarterbacks who have the active quarterbacks?
No, he's not known as a great regular season quarterback. He's known as a great regular season playing bad team quarterback because he has a losing record against teams with a winning record. Okay? That's not a good quarterback.
Most regular season wins with less than 3 playoff wins. What do all those guys have in common? You don't trust them come the postseason. No, yeah, I know Dalton, it seems unfair, but but Andy Dalton, when he was winning 10 games every year in Cincinnati, that's what we thought. When Ryan Tannehill had the 1 seed, that's what we thought. Kirk Cousins, when they won 13 games last year, that's what we thought. And the part that Bruce said, but I want to emphasize, Dak was frightened. Dak, you saw his eyes. The moment the game was 7-0, you could feel it. And I'm not trying to be the body language doctor, but you don't have to be. And then he had 4 separate opportunities before the game got away from him to help the Cowboys either stay close or be right there. Down 7-0. All of a sudden, down 7-0. They punch us in the mouth. The next drive you punt, the next drive he throws what could have been his first pick six was just a pick. Right. Down 14-0. Okay, this is getting tough. You're in field goal range. You have a 3rd and 5. All you have to do is not take a sack. He creates a sack, and then McCarthy doesn't let Aubrey kick the field goal. Down 20-0. I tweet, oddly not dead. Go score, you get the ball at halftime. 20-14, next time Green Bay touches. 2-minute warning, the ball's at the 40. And he throws one of the worst pick sixes of the year. And
that's unbelievable.
An underrated mistake. When the game felt over, but down 27-0, right before the half, he does the one thing you can't do. He threw it short of the end zone and the half would have ended, but they got bailed out because of the penalty. That was 4 egregious mistakes. And then, of course, there's McCarthy, who I know we'll get to. But listen, everything Bruce said all year was right. And when I say I hate saying that, I want you guys to know I'm having like an allergic internal reaction right now.
It's okay, man.
But
it's okay.
And so it's just unbelievable. I mean, it really, really is, because right up until yesterday, I was getting, oh my God, you Dallas Cowboys fans were coming at me so hard. So hard. I've never had so many like Cowboys and Dak profile pictures in my comment section. Everyone just coming at me, telling me how amazing they are. And this was unbelievable. I mean, it really, really was. And if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'll close with this. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I don't know why you guys just keep making excuses for Dak and the Cowboys. I really don't understand. Don't you want your team to be better? Don't you want to play better? Don't you want a better quarterback? Don't you want a better coach? Don't you want to win? You've done nothing. You haven't even been to an NFC Championship game since 1995. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You guys are the definition of insanity. You would do the same thing again and again and again and expect different results. And you know what? As an Eagles fan, I greatly, greatly enjoy it. You have given me essentially 30 years of just pure joy and fun. Because honestly, I don't know what's actually more fun. Truly, I swear. If the Eagles win against Tampa, that won't be as fun and exciting as watching the Cowboys get rocked yesterday. And I genuinely mean that. I mean, I really do. Especially because I don't have high expectations for the Eagles this year. Because the Eagles went to a Super Bowl last year. And the Eagles won a Super Bowl, in 2017. So the Eagles do stuff for me. They actually win in ways that make me feel good and confident and have the second most playoff wins in the last, 24 years. That's a big deal. The Cowboys, on the other hand, do not. So it's just, again, from a fan perspective, I come from this unbiased. Everything I said was unbiased right up into this point. Now I put my fan hat on, and it's like I enjoy watching the Cowboys lose in that regard, which is why I specifically did not make any concrete predictions going into that game, because I just wanted to enjoy it for whatever it was, whether the Cowboys win, whether the Packers win. I just wanted to watch a fun game, honestly. And so I was like, I'm not making any predictions, but I did say that the Packers absolutely could win. You can rewind the tape. I absolutely said that. I wasn't predicting it necessarily, but I said that the Packers absolutely have a chance at winning. And again, I'm not going to act like I was predicting that they were going to smoke them and destroy them, right? And again, I don't care who you are. No one can predict the future. You just can't. If you could, you wouldn't be that person. You would not be seeing that person on TV. They would be a billionaire living in, some tropical island. They wouldn't be on TV. But that's just the way I see it. What do you think happened to the Dallas Cowboys? Did they choke? Do you really think that this was just a choke job? Because I disagree with that emphatically. Emphatically, this was not a choke job. If you think it was a choke job, let me know in the comments below. Or if you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. Would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. And please don't forget to subscribe. I would absolutely love to see you part of this community. We are building something truly, truly special. And please give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.